Where do we see Claire this season?
Well, when we first meet Claire, we in some ways pick up from the end of episode 1, season 2, and we find her in Boston. She's going through a huge amount of grief, and she's with Frank. She's pregnant with Jamie's baby, and she's trying to figure out how to build a new life.
You go through a maturation process with many different looks. How difficult was that for you, and what was it like seeing a more mature you in the mirror?
It was one of the aspects of this season that I was really looking forward to, is how do you construct a life of a woman over 20 years and figure out how that weighs on her as a person. A big part of the aging, I think, is experience. We are a product of everything we've been through and everything we've known about ourselves. So we didn't want to do too many prosthetics or do things like that, but we did, we played a little bit with grey hair. And I really also just wanted it to be about how Claire holds herself, and that there's a little bit more gravity to her, that in a way she's a little bit more repressed, so that it shows itself in I think before we're so used to seeing this free elemental Claire, and in this season it's a lot more tampered down.
Could you talk about the moment when you see Jamie again, and what was it like to be reunited?
It's one of the beautiful parts of this season. I think in the beginning of the season, it's quite melancholy and it's really quite sad. So this is the real hopeful turnaround, and it brings so much joy to both of these characters. I love the way it ended up being filmed and being written. It's not maybe what we would expect. It's not exactly the violins and the angels and, the soft focus lighting. It's very messy, and in some ways it's very funny. And I think it speaks to all of the nervousness and all of the apprehension that's in Claire, because, she wants the perfect scenario, but as we know, life is anything but perfect. So
This is a fan question. You get to play a mum. How was it to be on set with a young kid? And did it awaken any desire in you to have one of your own?
It was so nice to have lots of kids on set. It definitely brings a different feeling to the set. It's also a bit of a distraction, but we had lots of twins. So when one would cry, they would be whisked off, I'm not sure where, and then the other one would be brought in. But it's sweet, the babies, they force you to be very in the moment. You can't really, ask it to do exactly the same thing every time. So there's a lot of improv with them, which I love. I love that ability, and I think hopefully at some point in the future, maybe that'll be something for me too.